episode of the Doomloop Dispatch, the news show that follows the worst parts of the San Francisco Bay Area. My name is Kevin L. Jones, and with me whenever possible is...
D Scot Miller.
And we decided to do a headliner episode because we got so much stuff going on, so much we've been wanting to talk about, so many things that need to come up, especially, I mean, and it all over the Bay too, you know, like not just San Francisco, not just Oakland. And there's definitely things I want to talk about going on in Vallejo, a place that people forget about. But first, we really need to talk about something that I feel... It's not on purpose that I haven't been able we haven't been able to get on this, but we need to talk about the ICE raids and how it's impacting the Bay Area, especially now that we're not getting any resistance. We're not getting anyone pushing back and trying to keep ICE out of this stuff. And this is a great story that you shared with me from Oakland side about how court officials didn't know ICE agents were coming in to the YLEM courthouse and arresting immigrants. You know, they're doing that whole thing where the immigrants are trying to do the right thing, you know, getting their paperwork, doing what they're told, and they're getting arrested for it and being shipped out. And it's definitely anti-democratic, but it's also just evil.
Evil. Yeah. Well, I mean, like when Darwin shared this piece, I mean, I've been noticing something at my local 76. Like I've told the story on Twitter, but basically CHP has been pulling people off from the freeway and pulling into my local 76, which is right across the street from me. And I saw them actually on Lakeshore about maybe, I would want to say almost 2 months ago. They disappeared a couple on right around Lake Merritt. They right on the lake. CHP did. I mean, I'm walking with my family on a Saturday. There's a couple in a car, clearly Latino couple, and then on my walk back, the car is still there, but the people are gone.
Ooh.
Like straight up disappeared. And that was, but it was California Highway Patrol, which I thought was weird in the first place because CHP doesn't really patrol. I mean, you're highway patrol, so you're not patrolling Oakland. You know what I mean? But they're pulling people off from the freeway and then disappearing them, like straight up. And so, like, I mean, I started keeping an eye on that. I started filming whenever CHP pulled people over. And what I noticed was that whenever I started filming, CHP drove away. Mm-hmm. And you can actually take a look at my Twitter account, and I actually do, like, D Scot 510 at D Scot 510. I have footage of the times that I've actually gone over to my 76 with my phone out, just recording. And every time when they see me filming, they walk away. They hop in their car and they drive away. I've actually made 3 squad cars just drive away.
Three,
like three squad cars were in my 76. I walk over with my phone out, silent. I'm not interfering. I'm just documenting. And 3 of the cars just zoom, zoom, zoom. When they saw that I was filming. And that's just suspicious as hell, right? So basically what I'm thinking is happening, and I actually shared this with Darwin too. I think CHP is doing ICE enforcement.
Yeah, I believe it.
And I think the way they're doing it is by skirting the sanctuary city laws of Oakland. OPD can't do it, right? But OPD can look the other way when they're doing it. And I have a funny feeling that's what happened in this instance. I think that the reason why they didn't know that ICE was in the building was because CHP was just doing ICE functions. Mm-hmm. So you could actually walk in as a CHP officer and carry out ICE operations. And so that's how they didn't know, right? Like to me, that's the thing that makes the most sense. And you know, let's not forget, like, you know, we have sheriffs all over California who said, I'm voting for the felon.
Yep.
Right. So you have sheriffs, and you also have California Highway Patrol, who aren't beholden to Oakland's sanctuary city laws, right? They're not beholden, but you can still come and enforce, like, as long as you're pulling people off the freeway.
Yes. And why isn't Newsom saying anything? Why can't Newsom ban anything? The most he's done is passed a bill that bans masking, which is helpful. You know, their identity should be out there, but I mean, he should be also banning them from helping this stuff, you know, especially CHP. That's under Newsom.
Yeah, but I mean, but that's the thing, though. I mean, like the real issue is, it's like, you know, you can only do so much to override The Fed.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, like if they were observing states' rights, then Pritzker wouldn't be over there right now having to deal with that bullshit.
Yeah.
Right. Like or more. Like, you know,
Yeah.
like if they really were observing states' rights, but they're not observing states' rights. In fact, they're breaking the law. But who's going to federally enforce the Fed breaking the law?
Yeah, no, yeah, I know. That's the problem with him and being in charge. But I mean, honestly, it's kind of crazy too, because we have to point out, I mean, this story from Mission Local was back in July, and they had already grabbed over 2,100 people. And these are people trying to do the right thing. These aren't, or they're just living their lives. Like in this case, this the first story that they talk about, Edin Eduardo Castaneda Reyes. I mean, he's married to an American woman. Like, he shouldn't be harassed. That is like a rule we agreed upon, you know? If you're married to a citizen, you get to stay. And it's like they're throwing everything out. And I mean, I still don't know the like end result. I think this is really still just kind of setting an example, and you know, like, this is what we can do this and you can't stop us, more than any other political outcome, you know. And I think it's going to come for us next, which was what that what is it, the NPSM 7? Yeah. I mean, that stuff is crazy. I mean, they seriously want to go after atheists.
Right. What they want to, like, well, so here's the thing that's so funny to me. It's not funny, but it's ahistorical, right? Like, people are saying these things are unprecedented and not talking about things like COINTELPRO. Like, Assata Shakur just passed away last week.
Yes.
Right. And that, rest in peace and rest in power. But the thing was, it's like, no, like, Fred Hampton. Have you guys forgotten?
Yes.
Like, did you forget like what's happening with me Abu Jamal, or what's his name? The American Indian movement. Peltier.
Yeah.
Leonard Peltier. Yeah, like you know, so I mean, like, these guys were labeled terrorists, right? And their activities, which are anti-imperialist, anti-capitalist, like everything that you guys have on your list right now, saying, like, you know, anti-fascist, right? Like, this kind of activity from the government is not new. We have to stop treating it like it is, right? And so, I mean, one of the things that I think is really interesting is that, well, one, they're trying to fulfill quotas, right? I think that Oakland has a quota. I definitely know that San Francisco does, right? I think the quota is maybe lower, right? But they do have a certain number of people they need to detain. Are they going to deport those people? Probably not. Right, because it seems that the strategy actually is capture, tag, release. Right. I don't think necessarily it's about keeping the people detained. I think they do deport people in places where labor is needed. For example, in Florida, for example, they need labor in Florida because they pretty much ran away all of their workers. Right. So what you need is somebody who's going to pick that fruit. Yeah. And what you can do is you can do that little thing where if somebody gets arrested or detained, they could be slaves. Yeah. That's in the Constitution. Right. So I think in places where, like, you know, they fucked up the labor force, those people are going to be forced, and they're not going to be deported. They're going to be forced into work camps. Yeah. Essentially. That's
why they're building those big camps there, like Alligator, Alcatraz.
Exactly. That's just free labor. And not to mention, like, just having people go into the systems themselves means that they get paid for the beds. And this is a for-profit endeavor. Yeah. So to me, I mean, like, it's terrible what's happening to people, but it sounds to me that for the most part, they grab a person, they find out the person is legal, right? But they still keep them in that bed for a while, right? And that justifies that bed. Then they release them, right? So it's actually like this like really ugly, dangerous, but performative and silly thing that they're doing. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, but I think those things, like, those are not mutually exclusive things. It can be both performative and stupid, but also extremely deadly and methodical. Right. So that's where we are, I think. Yeah,
no, I completely agree. Because I think a part of it too is, it's definitely has its role in both like providing labor, but also too just intimidation. I mean, really, because they especially, I mean, they want to make it clear we're going to do what we want and you will not stop us.
Right.
We're on a mission. We have laid out this mission. It's called Project 2025, and literally this stuff is in there.
Yeah. Well, that's the reason why I think that we should really lean on history right now.
Yeah,
we should lean on history because history has taught us, like, particularly through the struggle of the Panthers in Oakland, right? But also a bunch of other anti-fascist movements that took place in the 60s and 70s that had to go up against very repressive regime under Nixon or under Hoover's FBI. Right?
Reagan's California.
You know, so the thing is, like, they're trying to make it sound as if this is the first time anybody's tried this before. That's not true. It's just not true. So I mean, I'm not saying that like this isn't like some shitty shit that's going on here, but let's keep it in historical context. You know, there were times where they would just come in and burn down whole villages. There were times when they would come in and give people like smallpox blankets. Like, this is like,
yes,
you know, I mean, like this is America.
Yeah,
right? I mean, come on.
I want to do the like, this is America.
Yeah, I mean, I'm serious though. Are you kidding me? They labeled anybody who resisted the Vietnam War as terrorists.
Yep.
This happened. They labeled people who were fighting for women's rights as terrorists, Black people's rights, terrorists, Native people's rights, terrorists. This has happened so many fucking times. And we can't forget the internment camps in Presidio of Japanese people during World War II. We actually had prisons and work camps for Japanese people in World War II in San Francisco. And people are just acting as if that's not, you know, but that's historically accurate, historically true, right? So, I mean, I'm not saying that this isn't shitty. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying, like, in historical context, you know, we have to think about the Ku Klux Klan, the 100 years of lynching. Like, you know, these things are American artifice. They're American apparatus, right? So to sit here and act as if this is something that America doesn't do or hasn't done, and that the resistance hasn't happened, and things haven't been, the pendulum hasn't shifted back and forth. Like, this is America. This is the way America functions, right?
Yes.
So I mean, as far as resistance models, I think that we should have resistance models, but I think we should look to history, the people who had like really like successful resistance models to these things. Right. I mean, like Angela Davis walking around free, for example. Yes.
But we don't want to, you know, recreate the George Jackson trying to free him from prison kind of stuff. Though that didn't work out.
Not every strategy was a good one.
Exactly. I know. Well, you know, that's what's so interesting about this too, because in many ways, yes, you were absolutely right. This is America. We have tons of documentation of this stuff happening before. But the issue is that, you know, we learned about this stuff so we didn't repeat it, you know? Right. And now they're taking that away too. Like how they're removing anything about slavery from the Smithsonian and stuff. Yeah. And I think it would be a good point to look back at the resistance that was happened in the past and basically learn from that and not make the same mistakes, you know, especially with, you know, like with the Bay Area and what resulted in the wake of the Patty Hearst kidnapping, and kind of the violence that came out was so misdirected, but it's also too, it's the kind of thing we have to take into account because we might have to protect ourselves too. You know, I mean, honestly, we have to be real about that because they're being real about it, you know? And remember, one successful thing that, many successful things came out of the Black Panthers, but armed liberation, I mean, seriously, protecting themselves, arming themselves to watch themselves, to protect themselves against the police force. I think that's going to have to spread to just, you know, liberal white people too. Just watch, you know.
That's the thing. I think people are looking in the wrong direction. I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
I believe that what we're seeing in the Midwest with all the closing of these farms, I think that what we're seeing is after the Charlie Kirk assassination, right? We're seeing dissension happening within their own ranks, right? There has been a rise in suicides in Arkansas since the soybean incident because people are losing their farms.
Yep.
right? So what happens when people lose their farms? What happens when people lose their employment, right? People turn to crime. And who's got the guns?
And drugs too.
Yeah, who's got the guns though? It's the people in Arkansas. It's the people in Des Moines, right? They're looking in the wrong places, man. I mean, like the thing is like you said that the left are actually the ones who are violent extremists. Wow. All of these white men are setting fire to churches and assassinating people.
Yes.
And committing suicide. Right. So the escalation is actually happening, but it's not happening where they think it's going to happen. It's not the liberals you have to worry about. It's the guys with the guns who are in the news today.
Yes.
Right? It's like there is no like Latino army militia walking around LA right now with their guns out. There's no like they go to DC, they go to like Memphis. And the thing that's so crazy is like in the footage I see, like black people were like, dude, like you've been an occupying force here for 200 years. What makes you think you're doing anything different? So you got ICE walking down the street in a black neighborhood in DC, and there's kids in the background playing basketball. Nobody's running from them.
Yes,
right.
I know.
But however, you got this guy with his 2 flags on the back of his truck, and he goes and rams into a church and burns it down. Like that's who you should be paying attention to, you guys. Because like when you like it or not, that's probably who you're gonna have to send troops on.
Yeah, John Stewart actually made a great point about this exact thing where he's pointing out where all the mass shootings were. So it was like, Denver, it's Texas, it's North Carolina. And where are they sending the National Guard? Portland, Oregon. Why? Nothing's going on there.
Nothing's going on.
It's the total distraction, and it represents who they actually want to oppress.
Well, but that's the thing that's so crazy is that the 2A people are in the white, predominantly white red states. That's where they are. And so basically, like, when I was a kid, the whole thing was about revenuers, because I'm from West Virginia. So they were talking about the revenuers. They're always talking about defending themselves from the federal government. Always. Okay. Right. So the thing is, it's just like, no, like you're not going to get you're not going to be able to antagonize people that you've already surveilled and occupied for this long. You're just not, they're not antagonized because we're used to it.
Yep.
We're used to you guys being in our neighborhoods, surveilling us. We're used to it. Right. You can send the army in anytime you want to, and nobody's going to give a shit. But that's what's happening in Portland right now. Nobody cares. Yeah. That's what's happening in DC. Nobody cares. You send them to Memphis. Nobody gives a shit because the cops have been surveilling and murdering us this whole fucking time.
Yeah.
So nobody gives a shit. But the minute you have to do it in Wisconsin, 2A.
Yes.
2A. 2A. That's what's going to. That's the thing that's going to do it, and they know it, and that's why they're not fucking with the red states. It's not because that's their people. It's because they know their people are locked and armed and out of their fucking minds.
Yeah, and if they start going after them, that's when everything turns. Yep. That's when they see like, oh no, I am not their priority, even though they should already be getting that with the closure of their farms. With especially the worst being the Republican immigrants who basically voted for Trump and now watching like as their family and friends are being deported.
Yep.
But it's insane. And it's so weird how we're kind of following an old playbook as well, too, because now they're back to like harassing professors and stuff. I don't know if you've been following this, but Cal, I mean, what is it? Is Reagan governor again? What is going on? I mean, seriously, too, like, why is Cal, who, I mean, the chancellor before this was a former Obama administrator? Why are they rolling over to the feds like this? It's awful. One of the people that they named in this, and two, this is not about immigration or anything, or like this is actually the whole anti-Semitism thing. Basically, anyone that's criticized the actions of Israel and their genocide that they're perpetuating in Gaza.
Yep.
I actually know one of the guys that was on this list, Bill Drummond, one of the first black NPR reporters, honest, and a man who has enough prestige that he should be left alone. But no, Cal totally rolled over and sent his name in. I mean, what's sad too is we're seeing that we're going to have to set up our own institutions to protect ourselves because clearly the legacy institutions aren't doing crap.
Well, I mean, like we talked about this before. Cal's always been the bad guys.
Yeah.
Like people keep acting as if Cal was like somehow some liberal bastion of the 1960s. Like, no, like they were against the free speech movement.
Mm-hmm.
They were against it. They were against the establishment of the People's Park. They were the ones who rescinded affirmative action decades before anybody else.
Yep.
Like Cal has always been the bad guys. Like the institution has been the bad guys. The students have been the resistance. But like, they did open up the doors to a right-wing takeover when Milo tried to come on campus.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Like, so like we have to be very, very cognizant of what Cal became after 1968. Right. When it stopped being a free institution. Right. Like when money came into the game. Right. These guys have not been the good guys. So I'm not terribly surprised at them doing this move at all. Right. The capitulation, they capitulated to Nixon, they capitulated to Reagan, they capitulated to they consistently capitulated. They capitulated to Bush. They are in consistent capitulation all the time. Right. There's never been I can't think of a time when Cal sided with the people. I can't think of a time that ever happened.
Good point.
So I mean, to me, it's this thing about like, well, yeah, they're going to capitulate to Trump. And yeah, they're going to capitulate to AIPAC. They're just going to do it, right? Because they always have. They've always stood against the people. And it's because of that is where we get the idea of a resistance model. The reason why Cal has that reputation is because they've always been draconian. Mm-hmm. And the student body has always risen up against it. Yes. Right. So that's how that's where we get the whole idea that Cal's a radical place, is because it's a reaction to the draconian practices of the school itself.
Yes. Is the school actually inspiring this with their oppression? Yes.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they do.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, so the student body has always been resistant to Cal's draconian efforts. The reason why the free speech movement even began because of Cal's draconian effort to suppress speech. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So I mean, it's just what they do. But like you say though, like I don't know why. I don't know. Like I'm glad that people are finally starting to wake up and understand that Zionism is not Judaism, and Israel is not. You can criticize Israel and not criticize the Jewish people.
Yeah,
right. Like that's and it's so crazy because like I criticize America all the time, and I'm an American.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, like I think it's absolutely okay to criticize Israel, and you're not criticizing the people of Israel. You're criticizing the state. You can criticize the state of America and not criticize the people of America.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, I mean, like, to me, it's just like I say, Cal's going to capitulate to whoever's in charge. That's just the way it is. But the argument itself is very, like, I'm glad that people are breaking away from that argument. I'm glad that people walked out of the UN when Netanyahu started speaking. Like, I'm glad that other countries are starting to recognize Palestine as a state. Right. I mean, these things had to happen anyway, but I'm glad that it's actually becoming a part of the conversation in a way where we can actually call bullshit when we see it and not be considered somebody who's actually, I mean, I want the whole damn thing to stop. You know what I mean? And if it was in my power, I could snap my fingers, it would just stop. Right. But, you know, it's okay to say, like, you know, there is a genocide. It's okay to say that it's happening.
Yes.
So
yeah.
So it's okay
now it's official. It is truly official. There's no denying it.
It's been official for almost 2 years now.
Yeah. Exactly.
And people are just now saying it, you know, but my position always was that America is so entrenched in this thing, right? America is so entrenched in this relationship, right? It didn't matter who is in charge. It doesn't matter which party is in charge. Like this is something that we've been doing with this country for almost 80 years, right? It's a part of our fabric now, right? Like so you can't blame a president, you can't blame a party, you can't do it. It's just historically in our fabric, like white supremacy. It's in our fabric. You know what I mean? Like you can't say, well, this president is bringing up white supremacy. America's always been white supremacist.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Like, well, hence the support for Israel.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So it's just a part of the fabric of things, right? And the only thing that's going to change that is if the people become like, just like with white supremacy, if people stop doing it. Yeah. And the real question is are people going to stop doing it? And like, not likely.
Yeah, I mean, or at least it's going to take time, but they have truly AIPAC, Israel has truly captured the U.S. Thankfully, hopefully at some point we can get on the same page as other countries like the UK, Spain, like, these major France that is, have the balls to recognize Palestine as its own state, but we're not seeing that. It's gonna be a long, hard battle. And honestly, I don't think it's gonna happen until an entire generation is wiped out. Like, honestly, like, I'm not saying like Palestine or something like that. What I'm saying is that basically, I think it's the older generation that's really holding on to this, and they just need to go because they can't give up the idea.
My issue is though, is you got Charlie Kirk out here like pushing like the same white supremacist narratives, pushing the same race science bullshit. He's in his 30s. You got Nick Fuentes. He's not even in his 30s yet.
Yeah.
Right. Like so no, this is a philosophy that needs to be debunked.
Yeah.
Right. It's a series of lies, interconnected lies that need to be debunked. But every time you try to debunk them, there's a new guy who's there to hold up the lie. Right. So I mean, like it's like, I'm right now torn about the concept of progress. Like, what exactly does progress look like? You know what I mean? Individual liberty. What does that actually look like? Because like people are like, oh no, they're coming and they're just grabbing people and making them disappear and throwing them in jail and making them slaves in for-profit prisons. I'm like, have you been paying attention to Black people at all?
Yeah.
Like, have you been paying attention to what's going on with Black people in America over the past, like, say 50 to 60 years? Have you not been seeing that this is the regular thing that happens all the time? It's just like, to me, it's just like, I mean, I get it. I'm glad that people are waking up. But the fact of the matter is, this has been a pretty consistent metric in this country. Like all of that.
And that actually brings me up to another story that I want to talk about, because I'm seeing something. I don't know if you've probably noticed it too, but it's really kind of bothering me because it's bringing up something.
Oh, buddy.
So I want to point out that she is one of a few constant stories in the legacy media, especially the Chronicle, of showing corrupt nonprofit leaders and employees. And surprisingly, they're always Black. And surprisingly, they're always being dragged on their bus for misusing funds and stuff like that. Yeah. Even though, I mean, there's plenty of other stories of people misusing funds and that kind of thing and that big deal, but they are really putting a Black face onto what they want to make as the failure of nonprofits working with the city.
Yeah, I think go ahead.
Oh, well, I mean, basically, to me, this is almost remind me of kind of the welfare queen example, where it's like truly like we're going to take anecdotal evidence and really turn it into a face of a problem they want to display.
Right. What I find interesting about this particular story, and this is just a rehash, because I think that she might be correct. I think she might be correct in saying that she's owed some money. But here's the thing. Nobody talks about what that nonprofit is.
Yeah. Right?
The SF Police nonprofit. It's a nonprofit that was established as I think it was founded in 1982 or something like that. And it's a nonprofit that actually is supposed to be something of a slush fund for the cops.
Yes.
Right. Like they pay for cars, they pay for vacations, they pay for through this fake nonprofit that they established. Right. So that means that the whole thing about the graft of it is the nonprofit itself. The cops are the ones who are doing the graft. So if she is actually a person who's going to be the scapegoat for all of the graft they've been doing for like almost for over 30 years, right? She's supposed to be the scapegoat.
Yeah.
Right. She's the one. But the thing is, there's a good chance that she was just doing what they were doing.
Yes.
And that's the reason why she's saying, okay, if you guys want to play that game, I'm going to take you to court and I'm going to show how all of you guys were doing this thing since 1982.
Yes.
And to say, and the fake comparison between, like, say, a nonprofit like Homeless Prenatal Program, right, which is still around. It's a great program. It helps women who are homeless and pregnant make sure they get their checkups on time, make sure they get the proper medication, make sure they get good delivery, great doulas. That's a nonprofit too, right? But if you lump that nonprofit, like homeless prenatal program, with this cop nonprofit and just say all nonprofits, but see, that's a disservice. That's a disservice, and that's what the Chronicle consistently does, right? This nonprofit is crooked. The cops nonprofit is a crooked nonprofit. It was founded under a crooked thing. They were being crooked, and then they get busted for being crooked, and they throw her under the bus, right? And she's like, "Well, I might have been a little bit crooked, but the whole organization is crooked. So I'm going to sue you guys, and I'm going to prove to you that you're crooks all the way through. You were already all crooks." So I mean, I don't know why the Chronicle keeps harping on this particular nonprofit, because it's the most hypocritical of all the nonprofits. Like the one nonprofit you're focused on is the shittiest nonprofit. It's the cops nonprofit.
I know, that should say everything. Well, what kind of nonprofit? What's a nonprofit for cops? Like, what good is that doing?
Exactly. And the
How can that be doing any good?
And the Chronicle is bringing it up, and it's right there in the headline. Of leading this SS Police nonprofit.
Totally.
It's right there. It's right there. You know it's crooked. You know it's crooked. So I mean, like the thing is, like, you know, the Chronicle is trying to do this. But also, I mean, I think that a lot of this is actually, they're always trying to tie it back to London Breed's nepotism, which she had.
Yeah, because that's the other one too, though, is Cheryl Evans Davis, who I just posted a picture of too. But this is it. But again, though, too, it's always the black faces, you know, like it's always, and you know, because what's a scandal that really didn't get a lot of coverage in the Chronicle? I don't know, Libby Schaff, and all her corrupt stuff, where she's basically controlling commissions that she shouldn't have anything to do with, you know, getting fined tens of thousands of dollars by the ethics commission. But you know, she's still getting promoted. She's still getting to run other groups too. I believe she's helping a YIMBY related group now, or no, it's like abundance related, I should say. But still, you know, selective selective criticism, that's for sure, and definitely try to push a narrative, you know.
Well, I mean, the thing also, I mean, like the rising threat of black women in positions of power, which we learned is something that America is just not ready for, like at all. They're just not ready. And so, like, you know, and that actually brings us back to what we were saying before, which is like all of these problems that we're saying are brand new things are actually very, very old. You know, it's like so the most educated demographic in this country are black women. And it's so it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult because black women are just going to be the more talented and the more educated of the pool, of the hiring pool. And so
sorry. I didn't interrupt. I was just going to say, but you can wipe that all the way by saying DEI.
Yeah, and over 100,000 black women have lost their jobs since Trump has been put in office through that very excuse. I mean, so I mean, like, to me though, it's just kind of like the same old saying, right? It's not like you guys are like, that's the reason why we have to have our own media. And we have to be able to interpret things in our own way, because we know that you guys are actually stuck on stupid when it comes to a bunch of stuff like this. Yeah. You're stuck on stupid. And so right now you're stuck on stupid when it comes to being threatened by black women. You're stuck on stupid with that. Right. And there's really nothing that we can do to stop you from being stuck on stupid. So we have to tell our own stories and debunk the ones where it's clear that your own class privilege, your own race privilege, it's interfering with the way you're reporting stories, you know, just period. You know?
Yeah, I know. Especially, I mean, seeing the support for Charlie Kirk after his death. Yes, it's a tragedy. But remember, this narrative that we're speaking about right here was one of the biggest things he pushed. You know, that whole thing of every time I get on an airplane and if I see a black pilot, I'm thinking DEI. I mean, This is the exact crap. And, you know, completely ignoring the facts, too, just to push this racist narrative, you know?
Well, I mean, it makes white America feel good. You know, I mean, like, that's just the way it is. It's always been like that. It makes white America feel good. And like, you know, the thing is, like, so I just saw this one thing that said, like, I'd be mad too if I was a failure and I had a 400-year head start. Yeah, you know, I'd be mad too. I'd be mad if I look at Obama and I'm like, you know, I'm not doing that great, you know. But I had a 400-year head start, and this is where I am. You know what I mean? So, I mean, like, that once again, I feel that's the fabric of the system. And that's the reason why, like you were saying, we have to create our own institutions, because these guys are pretty much, done.
Yeah, I know. It's funny. It's like that whole adage that Lyndon Johnson said about teach what you can convince a poor white man of doing. It's like, wow, I think that strategy still works.
It works very well.
Yeah,
it works very, very well.
So sad, but also too, we have to think about education in this country and how it's lacking in so much of the world, and also just diversity in general. I mean, the worst part is that they're taking advantage of the fact of how small the Black population is.
Well, punching down in a lot of ways, right?
Yes, absolutely.
But
on purpose, because they know.
Yeah, on purpose. But at the same time, though, I mean, like every oppressive system that these guys have created, hasn't really affected Black and brown populations the way they intend.
Yeah.
Right. Like in fact, the exact opposite has a tendency of happening. Right. You try to do this, you bring up the Klan. We come back, we bring civil rights. You try this, and then we come back with the Panthers. You try this, and then we come back with the most educated people. The one that really my favorite analogy is Marshmallow versus Joe Louis. That's my favorite.
Oh, yeah.
Because what they were saying was that Black people were physically incapable of beating white. They'd already done it once with Jack Johnson. Yeah. They'd already done it once with Jack Johnson. But to actually think that they were rooting for the Nazi.
Yeah.
They were rooting for the Nazi to win. That's exactly how twisted your brains are when you start rooting for the Nazi and not the American. And then when the American wins, you get so mad that you burn down cities because the Black guy won. Yep. And so, I mean, to me, that's just the analogy. Like what you're telling yourself is a lie, right? And so you're going to get mad every time that lie is disproven, but you're just going to have to stay mad because the lie is going to consistently get disproven. That's just really, they're incapable. Okay. Oh, he did that. Okay. Well, they're incapable. And you just go back to, it's like, good luck.
And it just goes to show how messed up your values are. If it's like you need to be superior to somebody else, instead of just focus on your own shit.
I personally don't think that's how white supremacy actually functions. I don't think that white people actually do think of themselves as superior. I think that white people see themselves as a default. And I think that's really what the issue is. Like our television, our movies, right? They depict in America, like say on Friends or Seinfeld, right? A New York City has got nothing but white people in it, right? So white people, like when they go to New York and they don't, and all of a sudden they're seeing all these Black and brown bodies all over the place, right? They're flabbergasted, right? I'm afraid of American cities. I'm afraid of these cities. Why? Because TV told me it was just going to be a bunch of people who look like me. The movie said it was going to be a bunch of people who look like me. Yeah. Right, like this is like the cops were white guys most of the time, but up until recently, all the cops were white guys, and all the bad guys were Black and brown. So I don't think that white people walking around being like, I'm better than everybody else. I just think they see themselves as the default. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like unless you grow up in a place like Berkeley or Oakland or San Francisco, like if you grew up in the Midwest or the South, like you do see Black people sometimes, and there are places that are actually very integrated as far as schools are concerned. But then when you go to your neighborhood, it's all white people, and you have Black people in this other neighborhood. So you guys don't interact. And then when you go someplace like a big ass city, like you're not the default anymore.
Yep.
Like there's a joke that Bill Burr said that somebody said that New York was 80% minorities. 80% minorities.
Yeah, I know. I love just let it sit. Think about it.
It's 80% minoriors.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's the majority in that city?
Yeah, exactly. I know. I think that's like the definition of an oxymoron.
Yeah, it is. But people actually say stuff like that. They say, well, that city is 80% minorities.
Jesus Christ.
Anyway.
And so we should start wrapping up because I'm going to have a hard out in a few minutes. But I did want to talk about Vallejo. Now, Vallejo is You know, it's a city that's gone through a lot, but it also has a lot of important history for the Bay Area. I mean, you know, we're talking. I mean, honestly, if you really want to get into it, a lot of the Bay Area's hip hop culture came out of Vallejo. You know, it's always been a diverse. It's almost like it's Oakland, but like forgotten. You know, and then even worse is that it's gone through way more crap. A few decade or so ago, it had to default. It had to file for bankruptcy, which really screwed up the city. And it's still just been recovering from that. And a worst part about that is that for some reason that enabled the police force there to just go buck wild.
Yeah, they've been going buck wild for years.
Some of the craziest violent like police on, you know, police violence I've heard about is from Vallejo police, where it's like literally like dudes jump, like people that were found to be innocent or unarmed at least, and you have the cops jumping on their car and just literally, you know, filling them up with bullets. Like right through their windshield when they are clearly unarmed, you know, stories like that. And this is a good sign, you know. I mean, basically, like the Vallejo police are kind of like the riders. They're kind of like the OPD, but then they don't have, you know, the feds looking over them. And that's why you're getting stories like this where Vallejo has to disclose how their officers bend their badges on the corners to celebrate they've killed or wounded somebody. This is their value system.
Yeah, well, you know, and like, you know, just a couple of years ago, like it was disclosed that, like, you know, these guys have been like sending racist text messages to each other. They got busted for it. Brutalizing, like, you know, like it's like we don't talk enough about Vallejo's police officers. Like they are closer to Los Angeles and back in the day, the old LAPD, like in the 80s, right? In the 80s and 90s, like these guys are like really bad. And I don't know why there hasn't been federal oversight on Vallejo, because it just keeps popping up. Everybody knows this about Vallejo PD. Everybody knows this. I mean, I think Scott Morris does a great job. Vallejo's son, Zach Haber is starting to get involved with Vallejo too.
Yes,
so, like, you know, so there's a whole lot of good coverage out there about how crooked these bastards are and evil.
Yeah, and people should recognize too that this Vallejo could happen anywhere. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if it becomes a model for basically, you know, getting people to get into the political system, getting them to basically destroy it from the inside, or at least hurt it from the inside, you know, blocking things that could help the poor, taking on loans they don't need, you know, putting it into, like, you know, screwing up its budget, and next you know, it's defaulted, and then it's basically at the whim of whoever's in charge, you know, and there's nothing they can do. And watch what happens. All the money just goes to the police, because that's the important thing. And you got no other services, and then you get into things like this where Zach Haber, who's actually a fan of the show, we'll probably get him on sometime. He's a great reporter. But yeah, he published this great story. I mean, it's a sad story though, about how many students, homeless elementary school students in Vallejo too, you know, and that's another thing though. And watch, they're not going to do anything to happen. You know, they don't have the budget for this. They don't have anything like this. And so honestly, just watch it be criminalized, because that's what's happening all over too. Post a Grant Pass versus Johnson.
You know, the odd thing about what's happening in Vallejo is I personally know a lot of Black families that used to live in Oakland that got pushed out, and they landed in Vallejo. Like Vallejo is a place where you can still afford to buy a house. I have two friends that actually ended up buying houses out there. Yes. But I know a lot of other people who the rents were just too damn high here, and they moved out to Vallejo. You know, so I mean, the thing is that you're seeing an influx of Oaklanders, Black and brown people, Black and brown families that are coming into Vallejo. And so I have a funny feeling that that's the reason why we're seeing like this what Zach points out, is that a lot of these kids aren't necessarily what you would call homeless. They're in transitional situations where they're either like two families or three families living in one 2-bedroom apartment, or they're living in hotels, or they're in like other kind of transitional situations. Like there are a few kids who are absolutely 100% unsheltered, right? But what we're really seeing is we're seeing people who are getting pushed out of Oakland and getting pushed into Vallejo, right? And they can't deal with the capacity, and they definitely don't want to, because it's Black and brown families.
Yep, exactly. Even though Black and brown families is what's made Vallejo so amazing.
Yeah,
I mean, we're talking like, look at what La Russell's doing out there now. He turned his backyard into a concert space for free shows too, and he's getting amazing shows out there.
Man, he's getting people like Little John. He got I think Big Daddy Kane was out there, or somebody like that.
Yeah, Richie Rich and all the also locals.
No, he's doing a fantastic thing. He's doing fantastic work.
Yeah, but E40 has been a presence there forever too. Yeah. And I knew about E40 before I had ever heard any of his songs, Captain Save-A-Ho or anything like that. I knew him for his charity work.
Mm-hmm.
That guy every Christmas has a massive present giveaway, a toy drive where he's giving out, and this was before he wasn't a household name really yet, and he's still giving back to the people. But then, of course, who faces the brunt, who faces this bad side of it? It's like completely backwards to the reality of the situation. But we're going to see more of this as the commodification of our housing continues, sadly, so many Black residents of Oakland moved to Vallejo and Antioch, and of course both those places have the worst police.
But like I say though, I mean, like there is a correlation. Like what you want to do is you want to control that new mass. Right, like you might have had the old mass under your thumb, but this new mass, they don't know the rules around here, and we got to teach them the rules around here. So I mean, but like I say, before we wrap up, I mean, like, I think it's fucking dismal. I think everything's fucking dismal. But I also think that we have to focus more on how history has seeped into the present, and so we've got some people who are trying to push us back, right? I don't necessarily think going forward is actually the plan. I think that what we should do is we should focus more on the present moment and look back at the history and try to reapply the things that were effective for a resistance back in the 60s, 70s, right? We need to reapply those things, right? This is not the first time the cops killed Fred Hampton. The cops just killed Fred Hampton in Philly. You know what I mean? So and like I say, Medgar Evers, like this is not, this is just a continuation of this draconian, authoritarian, white nationalist, white Christian nationalist thing that's been happening in this country since forever, right? It's not so we can vote out. You know what I mean? I mean, I don't think we can vote it out. I think the only way we can do it is by making resistance models based on the more effective resistance models. Like Kwame Ture said, you have to take a scientific approach to this. You have to be scientific. So, I mean, they're being somewhat scientific, but a lot of this is just based on emotion and vibes, right? So and I swear to God, bro, I know we're getting ready to close up, but I'm not going to lose to a bunch of stupid motherfuckers. I'm just not going to do it. I refuse to lose to stupid. I'm just I'm not going to lose to stupid.
Well, especially what they're doing is so obvious. They're literally just looking back at the fascism playbook, the Nazi playbook, and just recreate it. It did work for them, but we'll get it right this time.
Exactly.
But so honestly, I think that is so true. I think, maybe take a step, progress will happen. But first, what we need to be doing is hunkering down, bunker. And read up on how to resist this stuff. I think that's a super good point. So that was a great episode. We'll do this next week, of course, or actually we're probably going to hopefully have some awesome guests coming on.
You're the guy,
Well, we'll just make sure, but and also if you like this show, please follow us on all our socials. We put up a lot of good stuff. We're sharing a lot of good stuff. I mean, these stories that we talk about, we're always sharing them and making sure people see. I mean, that's truly our goal, is to keep you informed. And if you appreciate what we're doing, please support us on Patreon. Even $1 a month goes a long way. Until next time,
keep fighting the good fight.